When a narcissist gets tired of living with an empath, the energy in the home starts to change in quiet but disturbing ways. On the surface, they may act like everything is fine, but behind closed doors, their behavior becomes more and more unsettling. Psychologists say this shift happens because the empath's warmth, compassion, and insight start to shine a light on the narcissist's hidden flaws. Instead of choosing to grow, the narcissist leans into manipulation. The first troubling pattern is emotional withdrawal. Narcissists live on a steady stream of attention and validation. When the empath no longer feeds that constant hunger, the narcissist pulls away. This retreat is not peaceful or thoughtful. It is cold and intentional. The empath is left feeling confused, rejected, and alone. Silence turns into a weapon, carefully used to drain the empath's emotional strength. The second pattern is stronger gaslighting. When narcissists grow restless, they start twisting reality to throw the empath off balance. Conversations are denied, promises are brushed aside, and memories are questioned. Psychologists point out that this kind of distortion creates self-doubt, which lets the narcissist stay in control while slowly stripping the empath of confidence and trust in their own mind. Third, triangulation becomes more intense. The narcissist brings other people into the picture to stir up jealousy or insecurity. They might suddenly praise a coworker, compare the empath to an ex, or claim someone else understands them better. As cruel as it is, this move has a clear purpose: to make the empath feel not good enough and emotionally unstable. The fourth disturbing pattern is hidden resentment. The empath's patience, kindness, and forgiveness, qualities that once served the narcissist, now start to annoy them. Empathy is seen as weakness, not strength. Psychologists explain that narcissists often resent traits they cannot truly develop themselves, and real compassion threatens their fragile sense of superiority. This quiet bitterness grows under the surface and feeds even more toxicity. The fifth pattern is subtle sabotage. When dissatisfaction sets in, narcissists begin to undermine the empath in small, barely noticeable ways. Important dates are forgotten, belongings go missing, and support is withheld at critical times. To outsiders, these moments seem like accidents. To the empath, they feel like constant small betrayals. It is control disguised as carelessness. Finally, the sixth pattern is quietly planning an exit. When someone is afraid of losing power in a relationship, they may start looking for other options. This can look like reconnecting with old acquaintances, spending more time focused on themselves, or pulling away emotionally. Psychologists explain that the shift is usually driven by insecurity, not love. Instead of facing the problems directly, they build a backup plan to avoid ever feeling rejected. When these six patterns, emotional distance, reality distortion, comparison, growing resentment, subtle undermining, and exit planning start happening at the same time, the partner on the receiving end can feel deeply shaken. The relationship begins to feel tense and unstable. Experts say this slow breakdown often reflects avoidance and poor communication instead of healthy conflict and repair. One person may keep trying to stay close while the other quietly pulls away. Emotional withdrawal is especially painful because it cuts off connection. Some people need closeness and honest communication to feel safe, so sudden distance with no clear reason feels confusing and scary. When affection or attention drops without explanation, the other person may begin to question themselves. Even when the real issue is unresolved conflict or unmet needs, gaslighting or constant denial of another person's feelings and experiences can leave deep emotional scars. Being told again and again that your reactions are wrong or that events did not happen the way you remember slowly weakens your self-confidence. Psychologists describe this as a gradual loss of trust in your own perception. Over time, it creates insecurity and emotional strain. Then comes triangulation. Bringing a third person into conflicts through comparisons can be deeply hurtful. When someone often compares their partner to others, it creates unnecessary competition and self-doubt. Experts explain that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and support, not on rivalry or jealousy used as leverage. Hidden resentment often shows up through sarcasm or dismissive comments. Qualities that were once praised may suddenly be criticized. Psychologists suggest that when frustration is not expressed openly, it can turn into irritation and emotional distance. Without honest talks, small annoyances slowly turn into big divides. Subtle undermining can be especially damaging because it is hard to spot. Small actions like withholding information, not following through on promises, or downplaying the empath's achievements may look minor on their own, yet over time, they chip away at trust and stability. Open communication, clear boundaries, and self-awareness are key if you want to stop these patterns from causing deeper harm. Narcissists may downplay the empath's successes, keep important details from them, or create small inconveniences that slowly pile up. Each act throws the empath off balance. To the outside world, the narcissist looks harmless. To the empath, daily life becomes exhausting and unstable. Exit planning often starts long before the empath has any idea. The narcissist tests limits by pulling away emotionally or physically, flirting openly, or making vague complaints about the relationship. Psychologists call this an exit strategy, while the empath is still working hard to fix the bond. The narcissist is quietly setting up their next move, determined to never look like the one who was left. As these 6 tactics take hold, the empath starts to feel split inside. Doubt creeps in. They question their value, their memories, even their own sanity. Psychologists say this is intentional. The narcissist wants to wear down the empath so completely that leaving feels impossible. It is a destructive pattern that shows up again and again in toxic relationships. Withdrawal is highly calculated. By shutting down emotionally, the narcissist controls how close the relationship can get. The empath, starved of affection, often works even harder to win approval. This imbalance pushes more power into the narcissist's hands. Experts say that withholding love is a form of emotional abuse. It trains the empath to accept tiny scraps of affection as if they were real devotion. Gaslighting grows stronger when the empath starts to resist. The narcissist may say things like, "You're too sensitive," or "That's not how it happened." Over time, these comments eat away at self-trust. Psychologists warn that ongoing gaslighting forces people to doubt even their instincts. That constant mental pressure wears the empath down, making them easier to control. Triangulation turns the relationship into a show. The narcissist spins stories about other people, an ex who still admires them, or a coworker who gets them more. The empath can start to feel like an outsider in their own relationship. Specialists explain that this tactic weaponizes jealousy, pushing the empath to chase reassurance that never really comes. Resentment shows up through sharp jokes or quiet put-downs. The narcissist might mock the empath's kindness by saying, "You care too much," or make fun of their emotional depth. These comments cut deeply because they attack the very core of who the empath is. Psychologists call this projection. The narcissist attacks qualities they secretly wish they had, and they twist compassion into something shameful or weak. But silent sabotage slowly destroys trust. Small betrayals pile up until the empath feels constantly on edge. Was that thing misplaced by accident or moved on purpose? Experts say this low-level manipulation creates a fog of uncertainty. The empath spends energy obsessing over small details instead of seeing the bigger pattern. This confusion helps the narcissist keep control. Exit planning is especially chilling because it happens while the empath is still fighting for the relationship. The narcissist may quietly chase new romantic options while acting pleasant at home. Psychologists note that this double life is common. Because they cannot handle feeling vulnerable, they make sure they have replacements lined up before they leave. It is not about real love. It is about protecting their ego. When all six behaviors merge, the empath often feels emotionally and spiritually empty. Their natural kindness is used against them, and their inner light starts to fade. Psychologists say this dynamic is deeply harmful because the empathos tends to blame themselves. In reality, it is the narcissist's calculated strategies that drain the life out of the relationship. Withdrawal is not random. It is meant to punish. The narcissist does not pull back to reflect. They pull back to reflect. They pull back to regain control. Experts compare it to emotional starvation. By denying affection, they train the empath to work harder for tiny bits of closeness. After a while, the empath may forget what real healthy love feels like. Gaslighting ramps up during arguments. The narcissist might insist, "I never said that," or even, "You're imagining things." Statements like these tear at the empath's trust in their own mind. Psychologists describe this twisting of reality as a slow form of psychological abuse. It breaks down confidence and makes the empath more and more dependent on the narcissist for validation. Triangulation does not just involve romantic threats. Narcissists may compare the empathy to friends, relatives, or even strangers, saying things like, "Why can't you be more like them?" Specialists explain that this pattern is designed to create constant insecurity, keeping the empath in a steady state of self-doubt and emotional imbalance. Desperate to prove their worth, the empath overfunctions, which only feeds the narcissist's ego. The narcissist starts to see the empath's kindness as a painful reminder of their own emptiness. Instead of feeling grateful, they feel irritated. Psychologists say this reaction comes from shame. The empath's goodness becomes unbearable to someone who is obsessed with power and control. Silent sabotage eventually grows into more serious behavior. The narcissist may forget to pay bills, leave out important details, or quietly get in the way of the empath's work or success. Experts call this covert aggression. Unlike obvious abuse, which leaves clear marks, this kind of sabotage creates confusion. The empath feels unsupported and alone, yet outsiders can easily see anything wrong. Exit planning becomes easier to notice when the narcissist starts to slip. They may spend more time away from home, guard tea, air phone, or suddenly change long-standing routines. Psychologists refer to this stage as detachment. While the empath continues pouring effort into fixing things, the narcissist has already checked out emotionally and is preparing for a fresh source of praise. The empath can feel that something is off but struggles to name it. Specialists explain that this vagueness is intentional. These six behaviors are often subtle, but together they create a toxic fog that feeds self-doubt, one of the narcissist's strongest tools. Emotional withdrawal begins to feel like a long, slow abandonment. With each day, the empath feels more invisible and unappreciated. Psychologists note that this steady drain wears down emotional strength. The empath may try harder and harder, yet nothing changes, because the withdrawal is not about their failures. It is about the narcissist's urge to punish independence and create distance. By this point, gaslighting is relentless. Every disagreement somehow becomes the empath's fault. Tears are called too dramatic. Calmness is labeled cold or uncaring. Psychologists call this a double bind. No response is ever right. This setup keeps the empath feeling wrong and not enough, which protects the narcissist's sense of power. Triangulation may even involve children, relatives, or close friends. The narcissist might say, "They all agree with me, even when they have not spoken to anyone." This fake consensus isolates the empath. Experts explain that these tactics turn loved ones into imagined enemies, leaving the empath feeling alone and attacked from every side. The narcissist begins mocking the empath's character. Traits they once praised are now ridiculed. Compassion is reframed as weakness. Psychologists stress that contempt is a strong predictor of a relationship's breakdown. Once respect is gone, only scorn is left. The narcissists may start to damage the empath's friendships, spread rumors, or stir up drama to push people away. Professionals call this relational sabotage. An isolated empath is much easier to control. By cutting off outside support, the narcissist tightens their grip and limits the empath's options. Exit planning can even start to feel exciting to the narcissist. They picture life without the empath, fantasizing about freedom or new partners. Psychologists identify this as part of the discard phase. Meanwhile, the empath is stuck, dealing with heartbreak and confusion. The painful truth is that while one partner is reaching for closeness, the other is already planning their escape. Withdrawal hits its peak when the narcissist shows warmth to others, but not to the empath. They may look affectionate and charming in public, yet stay cold and distant at home. Experts call this impression management. If the empath speaks up, outsiders only see the narcissist's charm, which can make the empath look unstable or overly emotional. This double life deepens their self-doubt. By now, gaslighting is exhausting. The narcissist denies even obvious facts without hesitation. They twist what happened so completely that the empath begins to question reality itself. Psychologists warn that long-term gaslighting damages mental health, and can lead to anxiety, depression, and trauma symptoms. This is not simple misunderstanding, it is intentional confusion. Triangulation may turn into open flirting right in front of the empath. This cruelty is not about attraction. It is about power. It is a deliberate show meant to prove dominance and reinforce emotional control. Psychologists explain that narcissists often feel a dark satisfaction watching the empath's pain because it reassures them that they still have influence. Every sign of jealousy or hurt tells them their grip has not fully slipped. As resentment grows, the narcissist starts attacking empathy itself. If the empath offers support, it is mocked. If they show concern, it is dismissed. Experts call this stage devaluation. The very qualities that first drew the narcissist in are now used as weapons against the empath, leaving them drained and doubting their worth. Silent sabotage stretches into larger betrayals, reckless spending, secret conversations, or outright neglect. Psychologists say these behaviors escalate because small tactics no longer give the narcissist the feeling of control they crave. They look for bigger ways to prove their power. Each new violation deepens the empath's confusion and pushes them to question their own role in all the chaos. In truth, it is deliberate cruelty. As exit planning reaches its final stage and the narcissist begins to emotionally discard the empath, they may suddenly worship someone new, talking about them as if they are perfect. Specialists call this idealization, the first part of starting the same cycle with someone else. For the empath, it feels like their whole self has been rejected. Even though real love was never the foundation, this is usually when the pattern finally becomes clear. Psychologists say that this clarity is both painful and freeing. It hurts because it exposes years of manipulation, but it also frees the empath because awareness is the first step toward getting out. Withdrawal leaves lasting wounds by creating deep emotional deprivation. Psychologists stress that healing means reconnecting with safe, trustworthy people. The empath has to relearn that love does not need to be earned through suffering. This truth starts to break the old conditioning that made distance and neglect feel normal. Healthy connections help rebuild emotional strength. Gaslighting damages the mind, but truth can repair it. Writing things down, talking with a therapist, or confiding in people you trust helps rebuild self-trust. Experts suggest creating reality anchors, small reminders of what actually happened to counter the lies and distortions. Every act of remembering strengthens clarity and loosens the old grip of manipulation. The harm caused by triangulations starts to heal when survivors understand that the comparisons were never proof of their failure. Psychologists say narcissists project their own insecurity through constant rivalry. The empath's worth was never shrinking. It was being attacked. Recovery means taking back that truth. Real value comes from authenticity and self-respect, not from winning a fake competition created by someone else. Resentment may have targeted empathy, but specialists remind us that empathy is power, not weakness. The narcissist feared what they could not truly feel. Healing means claiming compassion as a strength instead of a shame. The empath's ability to love deeply becomes the base for growth, resilience, and freedom from toxic control. Silent sabotage once built constant self-doubt. Healing rebuilds confidence step by step. Psychologists encourage small acts of independence, making your own choices, exploring your interests, and rediscovering who you are. Every small win chips away at the confusion that was planted. What was meant to break you instead becomes the ground where resilience and new self-trust grow. Where exit planning, in the end, shows that the narcissist was never truly invested in equal partnership. They were invested in control. Psychologists explain that seeing this clearly releases survivors from misplaced guilt. The breakup did not happen because the empath wasn't enough. It happened because the empathist cycle demanded it. This insight reshapes the pain and brings perspective. In the end, the 6 troubling behaviors, withdrawal, gaslighting, triangulation, resentment, sabotage, and escape planning, reflect not the empath's weakness, but the narcissist's inner emptiness. Psychologists emphasize that no amount of love can heal someone who refuses to face their own darkness. Freedom begins when the empath stops blaming themselves and starts choosing themselves. So what does a narcissist quietly do when they grow tired of living with an empath? They pull away, twist reality, stir up rivalry, nurture resentment, shake the foundation of the relationship, and line up their exit. Each tactic is damaging, but none of it changes the empath's true worth. Healing is the proof that their control was never final and that in the end, the narcissist did not win.